the foundation basically of the reliefs they sought against my client. And I've never had an issue with those grounds as they are. But the evidence of Gulie and Bolu yesterday took a new tangent. If you look at the tenor of the evidence, they were saying that my client basically wanted to deny President William Ruto the presidency. And it creates a new ground. Before, there were no such grounds in the 4 petitions filed in the National Assembly. But the evidence and the line of cross-examination by Peter Munge yesterday introduced a new angle, which forces me to raise the issue of maybe actual or apparent bias by the tribunal in view of what was raised yesterday. And I need to raise the issue of bias on how it is, and just for a few minutes. Mr. Chairman, one of the doctrines of any tribunal is the doctrine, of course, of Nemo Judex in Causa Sua. A tribunal must be impartial in its sitting. Article 51 also gives my client the right that she ought to appear before a tribunal that's impartial. But now, once this angle was introduced yesterday, it endangers the liberty of my client. And I want to raise at this early opportunity. The Gazette notice that establishes tribunal, Mr. Chairman, appointed Caroline Kamende Daudi as the commissioner, as a tribunal member, and she's your vice. Emmanuel Gibet as the joint secretary, and my friend Peter Munge as the lead counsel. The way this tribunal is constituted, Mr. Chairman, is the commissioners and the joint secretary and the lead counsel is one and the same. It's not like a normal court where the prosecutor is independent body. But the tribunal in its setting is that the commissioner, the commissioners, the joint secretary, and the lead counsel is one and the same. They work together. And that's the danger now, where it lies. Mr. Chairman, Caroline Kamende Daudu is actually my good friend. And she can tell you that when she was running to be the vice president of LSK, I supported her and the president Nelson Harvey, and they won. And they remain my good friends. But during the Supreme Court decision, Caroline Kamende Daudi acted for the president. And she was part of the legal team. And I know and I'm aware that my friend also, Linda Kiome, whom I'd never met before, but we've worked together before, ran for she was running to be the deputy governor for Meru in a UDA ticket. My friend Emmanuel Kibet, again, I never met Kibet before until this tribunal. But his business partner, Professor Githure Kindiki, is my friend. When Githure wanted to begin practice, legal practice from being a professor in the university, he actually came to see me and we had a discussion, and I assisted him in setting up his law firm. So he's been my friend. But I'd never met Kibet. But I now know that Kibet is his legal partner, and Kibet is a joint secretary in this tribunal. And the Office of the President plays a very crucial role in this tribunal. It's the one that facilitated the setting up of this tribunal, and I know of my knowledge, that's the one that's still financing the tribunal. Lastly, my friend Peter Munge, whom I've known forever since I began practice, is a partner of my classmate, Honorable Muriu, who is the MP for Gatanga. I've done so much work with also Muriu as lawyers in different transactions. Muriu, other than being the UDA MP for Gatanga, is a legal secretary of UDA. And he was also part of the legal team for the president in the Supreme Court. Peter comes from that law firm. So my issue, Mr. Chairman, seeking your guidance, I'm not asking that they step down, but I'm inviting them to examine their conscience and whether they will give my client impartial hearing and justice, that they will not be biased. Some could be actual biased, like my friend Caroline Daudi, because she was part of the legal team. But from Linda, Peter, and Emmanuel, it could be apparent bias, because they were indirectly associated with UDA. But Ms. Daudi was directly associated with UDA. Mr. Chairman, Julius Caesar everyone knows Julius Caesar. Is one of the greatest rulers ever in history. His wife Pompey, there were rumors in Rome that his wife was sleeping with a nobleman. There was no evidence. But Julius Caesar divorced his wife because he said the emperor's wife must be above suspicion. So I'm asking Mr. Chairman that if there is suspicion by the public that Ms. Daudi, Linda, Peter, Emmanuel will be biased against my client, because there's evidence from yesterday is that Ms. Irene Masit wanted to stop President William Ruto from being president. There's a great danger, Mr. Chairman. I seek your guidance and directions.
Listen to you. One, you are saying that even as you say the many things you're saying, first of all, is evidence which shouldn't be coming from you. You can swear an affidavit because you're saying you have personal knowledge of these things. And so ideally, one should have seen an application for recusal, but you are saying, I've just listened to you, you don't want recusal, but you're asking that people should just examine their conscience generally. So we leave it at examining conscience. But I think, Mr. Donald, either you want recusal or you don't want. Because what would be the reason of saying the things that you are saying? But secondly, at what point does it become known to you? And I've just been listening to you. You said you know Munge, you say you know Linda, you say you know Kamende, you know all these people. At what point does it start appearing to you that there's bias? Now, but more important, and I've just told Dunstan, you know, the evidence that is tendered here, if it doesn't relate to petitions that were filed and the grounds in the petitions, it's just that, isn't it? Because we are limited in our dealing with the questions at hand on what is it that was complained against your client and whether those complaints have been substantiated, sufficient enough for us to make a determination one way or the other by way of recommendation. So I hear you to be saying, examine your conscience. You don't represent Kenyans, you represent a client, a specific client who has a name. So that we can make progress, I will ask that we proceed. But your point has been made, Council.
Mr. Chairman, you asked me when I got to know. As I said, I don't know.
I don't want us to get into that discussion. I was just saying.
No, because you're asking me.
I wasn't asking because fine. I want, it's rhetorical.
Okay.
Well, I want us to proceed.
Thank you, Chair. We are also taken aback by, political statements at times made for purpose of headline tomorrow, but we are ready with our witness. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, they're not political statements. I am saying they are not political statements. They arose from yesterday's evidence. So, yeah.
When you sat and reflected on that evidence, because the evidence was being tendered in your presence, you could simply have said, stop that evidence because it's not contained in the petitions, isn't it? You sat through, you let it come through, and then now, a day later, you're saying, let's go back to that evidence. If you want it expunged from record, you will make an appropriate application in that regard. Thank you. Thank you.
I swear by the Almighty God that the evidence I'll give before this tribunal shall be the truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Mr. Chair and members, our last witness is Mr. Wafula Chebukati, the immediate former chair of IEBC. And for the record, there are 3 lawyers who are present, Mr. Eric Gumbo, Mahat Somane, and Moses Kipkogei, who are watching brief. Kindly, sir, could you kindly introduce yourself, your full names, and up to, I think, a few days ago, what was your position in IEBC?
Yeah, thank you. My name is Wafula Chebukati. I was appointed to the IEBC as chairperson by Gazette notice dated 18th January 2017. And assumed office on the 20th of January 2017 after swearing in. And my assignment as chairperson ended on the 18th of January this year.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Wafula, in terms of your profession, kindly explain your profession prior to being chair of IEBC, what you've been doing for a living.
Yes. I'm a lawyer by profession, having qualified and signed the role of advocate on the 17th of November 1986. And thereafter, I practiced law for a period of about 30 years before joining the commission in various law firms.
Right, and so you are a lawyer of about 37 years of practice.
I have 36 practicing certificates.
36 years, thank you. Practicing certificate, thank you very much,
36
sir.
years, yeah.
Now, you remember swearing a statement rather, before this tribunal, and you can kindly take us, it's in page 1 of Chair and Members, volume 2 of the bundle of witness statements, page number 1.
Yes, I swore a statement dated 13th December 2022 for purpose of filing in this tribunal. Right,
and that statement, I want to go through it just very briefly, then we went to go to the other documentations. As at the time you were swearing this statement, were you still in office in the commission?
Yes, I was still in the commission as a chairperson.
At the time you were still the chairperson?
Yes.
And looking at your statement, you annexed a letter, page number 2. Can kindly explain so that it's clear you've not just come to an attack mode to fellow former commissioners?
Yes, I received a letter from yourself requesting I and other commissioners from the IEBC to come and be witnesses in these proceedings. And I responded by this letter dated 13th December 2022. Do I read the letter?
It's page number 2, the same document, just look.
Yes.
Yes, you see that's your response.
This is my response.
Very well. And let's go back to your statement, sir. I'm looking at paragraph 4. You said you would rely on 3 affidavits. What are those 3 affidavits there?
The 3 affidavits I said I rely on is the one, number 1, the one sworn on 26th August 2022 and filed on 27th August 2022 in presidential election petition number E005 of 2022.
Now, as you answer,
Yes.
look at the big volume, Mr. Chair and members, volume 4, page number 202. Confirm that is the affidavit. It's page 202. And it goes all the way to 228 before the annexures. Sorry, it's the one on 353, 353, the Raila case. 353.
Yes, this is the affidavit E005 of 2022.
This is the affidavit and is.
Yes.
This is the case of the
The Raila Odinga and Mother Wangari Karua
Yes.
and IEBC.
Now
Others.
we go to page 380. Same affidavit, you saw it on which day? As beneath paragraph 117.
380,
After paragraph 117 beneath it, the place where you saw the affidavit and signed.
Yes, the date is 26th day of August 2022.
Yes. Now, let's go back to your statement, the second affidavit.
The second affidavit sworn on 27th August 2022 and filed on an even date, that's the same date, being presidential election petition number E002 of 2022.
Now, go to the big bundle, page number 1. 1 all the way to page number 34. Confirm that that is the affidavit.
Yes, this is the affidavit filed in that matter E002.
Right. The third affidavit.
This is the one sworn on 27th August 2022 and filed before the Supreme Court on the same date, that is the 27th of August, in presidential petition, election petition number E003 of 2022.
Right. Now, look at page 202. 202 and is the cover page. 203 is the first page of the affidavit.
Yes.
It's deponed on page 227. That is the affidavit.
This is the affidavit.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah. Now, you're aware that the matter was concluded before the dispute that was before the Supreme Court was concluded?
Yes, I'm aware.
And you are no longer chairman?
Yes, I exited.
You exited?
Yes.
After good service there. Thank you. Now, do the facts change or do you rely on the same facts?
I rely on the same facts, exactly as stated in the affidavit.
And in this matter, your way is different from the dispute before Supreme Court?
Yes, I'm aware.
Thank you very much. Now, you say that you are appointed as commissioners persons to a specific article of the Constitution? You have the Constitution?
No, I don't have.
I'll give you that and I'll come back to the IEBC is constituted persons to Article, I believe, 88.
And Article 88 of the Constitution, 88.4 is what constitutes the IEBC.
It constitutes the IEBC.
Yes.
And as commissioners, are you constitution office holders or what?
Yes, we are constitution office holders among the Chapter 15 commissions.
Right.
Yes.
Now, Article 248, 249, 250. Does that apply to IEBC?
Yes, it's Article 249 applies to the IEBC.
And Article 250?
Yes.
And Article 250, Sub-Article 9, it says, and I read, a member of a commission or holder of an independent office is not liable for anything, and I emphasize, done in good faith in the performance of a function of office. You are aware of that proviso?
Yes.
And you are aware then that Article 259 is the basis under which this tribunal was constituted and appointed?
Yes, I'm aware.
Now, are you, as commissioners, liable for acts where found they are not in good faith?
Sorry, repeat the question.
I've read Article 259.
Yes.
What of acts done not in good faith?
Well, then one has to take responsibility for their actions. If you're acting in bad faith against your oath of office, then you take responsibility for that action.
Is it a whole responsibility as a commissioner or a personal responsibility?
Sorry?
You take personal responsibility?
Yes.
Very well. Now, I want to go through the facts that you deponed in the affidavit, one slowly, and we'll go to the big bundle, volume 4, and I'll deal with the first affidavit, the one of Youth Advocacy Africa, and Peter Kirika as the petitioners. You have that?
Yes, I have it.
Now, you are aware of the issues in this petition?
I will, of course, listen to the petitions. I perused them briefly, and I'm aware of some of the issues.
Some of the issues.
It may not be all, yeah.
And in this affidavit, if I'm correct, you talked about the conduct of elections, the processes that led to, and the system and all that relates to the elections.
That's correct.
Right. And I will then not then rely on that affidavit. I'll go to the second affidavit, Khalifa case.
Yes, I'm there.
You're there. It starts on page 203. Now, if you look at that affidavit, if you look at page 208, you talked about procurement.
Yes.
Not related to the tribunal. Page 209, you talk about voter registration.
Yes.
Page 210, you talk about voter education.
Yes.
Page 211, you talk about technology.
Yes.
Page 211 to 212, you talk about result path verification and tally.
Yes.
Now, all through until around paragraph 64, at no point does it appear to be a disjointed commission or a dispute amongst commissioners. Kindly confirm or explain that.
As in relation to all these processes
Yes.
that happened up to and after, up to election?
Yes.
Yes, there was no disjointed commission. We worked as a commission following the law and the procedures laid down.
And we go then to paragraph 71, is where now we start seeing challenges amongst or within the commission.
Yes.
Rule 71 on the date of the 15th of August 2022.
Yeah.
So prior to 15th August, how was your relationship as commissioners, and in particular with Commissioner Irene Masit?
As a commission, we were, of course, appointed from 2017. The team chair and 6 commissioners. 4 of them resigned, and we were 3 then we proceeded to work, and we were joined by 4 commissioners on the 2nd of September 2021. And of course, when they came in, we brought them up to speed, and we worked very well. The relationship was good. I ran an open door policy as a chair, and any commissioner with an issue, including Commissioner Marsabit, always walked to my office if there was an issue, so there were no problems.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now, I've read through from paragraph 71 all through and the issues, and I believe let's tackle them in the affidavit in the case of Raila Odinga and Mother Karua, because there you've expounded them further. So let's go to the 3rd affidavit. And we'll deal in this affidavit for quite a while. And you start by your introduction, paragraph 1 and 2, and you talked about your position in paragraph 2. Clarify that position.
Yes, in paragraph 2, I state that in my capacity as chairperson of the commission, I was the returning officer for presidential elections held on the 9th of August, 2022.
And you have put, I believe, a gazette notice?
Yes.
In respect to that position?
Yes.
Now, what is the role and the duty of a presidential returning officer?
I think it's more of the role of a returning officer. Presidential is just one election, but we have other returning officers running all the 6 elections we carry on. Returning officer's job is to ensure that all the processes relating to elections, from nomination up to nomination of candidates up to declaration of results, is met.
My emphasis
Yes.
is on the presidential returning officer.
Yes.
So what was your role there? Presidential returning officer.
Alongside the commission, the distinct roles involved nomination of candidates, issuing candidates with certificates to enable them contest in the elections, as well as final declaration of results.
And final declaration of results.
Yes.
Could there be more than one returning officer for the presidential elections?
Not that I know of. There's no such legal requirement, and it would be a recipe for chaos if that were the case.
And in this case,
yes,
being the returning officer for the presidential elections, were you working in LASOM or assisted by commissioner or staff? Because I believe you are not a one-man team.
Yes, I worked very closely with the commission being the secretariat and the commissioners.
And the commissioners.
Yes.
Right. Let's jump all the way up to paragraph 12 of that affidavit. Paragraph 12 and 13, you did introduce when the Commissioner Irene Marsabit was appointed.
Yes.
And I believe you had already mentioned the date there.
Yes.
Which was, I believe, 1st September 20.
The gazette notice was 1st September, but I remember she was sworn in office on 2nd September and reported on duty on that day.
And she reported on duty on that day.
Yes.
And after that, her appointment with the rest was a commission fully constituted?
Yes.
Right. And a commission, you've confirmed that you are constitutional office holders.
Yes, we were until when we exited office.
And there are specific expectations for you as when you are constitutional office holders.
Yes.
Right. And you are aware that the removal is pursuant to Article 251 of the Constitution.
Yes.
Now, I want us to go briefly on the grounds that were set out in the affidavits and were reiterated in the petitions filed before the tribunal. And I'll go to part 3 of the affidavit from paragraph 36.
Of
That's the affidavit.
okay.
An emphasis is only on the presidential elections. Now, 36 to 38, you are talking about what here?
In 36, we are saying the presidential election results were relayed and transmitted to the National Tallying Center as outlined in the results path published by the Commission pursuant to Section 39 and Regulation 87.
This, you're talking about the issue of transmission all the way to paragraph 38.
Yes.
Now, when all this was on the issue of transmission, was there any dispute amongst the commissioners?
On the issue of transmission?
Yes.
There was no dispute. This results path was approved by the Commission.
Yes.
I remember in a plenary meeting we had somewhere in Mombasa.
Yes.
And it was published.
It was published?
Yes, and transmission then went on without any problem, and there was no issue.
And the transmission went on until which day?
Well, transmission of Form 34As commenced immediately after polling and counting. And I think within the 48 hours after the 9th of August, we had almost 99.8 transmission.
99.8%?
Yeah, 99.98% transmission of Form 34As happened within 48 hours from polling and counting.
Was there any breaches of the law in respect to the issue of transmission?
Not that I'm aware of.
Was there any issue or dispute raised by Commissioner Irene Masit?
Not that I'm aware of.
Right. We move, sir, to part 4, which starts at paragraph 39. And you then introduce a place called Bomas of Kenya. Kindly tell us what was Bomas of Kenya. Was it ever gazetted and why?
Yes, as you know, our officers at advisory towers don't have sufficient space. But the presidential election being a huge operation, we then, the commission procured the Bomas of Kenya as a tallying center. And after the procurement, then we officially gazetted it as a national tallying center.
It's a national tallying center.
Yes.
And what's the purpose and why was it gazetted as a national tallying center?
The purpose is it's a legal requirement that you must have, the tallying center must be gazetted and running to all the other 5 elections we normally gazette tallying center, so that candidates and the interested persons know where the tallying will take place. It's a legal requirement. And that's why we gazetted it.
All right.
Yes.
And the tallying is done, what beyond tallying, is any other things done at the national NTC?
Yes, it's an operation. We talk of verification, tallying of results, and final declaration of the winner of that election, or final declaration of results. All those activities happen at national tallying centers, but they can't happen in isolation. Of course, it's a whole operation, okay. And there are many people, there are many players, so a lot of other activities happen.
Right, and
yes.
I don't say this in jest, but you will hear mention of Nairobi Serena Hotel and other places. I believe you have only one national tallying center. The
national tallying center was at Bomas of Kenya, and there's no other national tallying center for purpose of 2022 general elections.
Purposes of 2022 general elections. Now, we go to the next point. You talk about what you did to enhance transparency, and this you start at paragraph 42 all the way to 45. And the issue of verification, I can bet it will come up in cross-examination. And I need you say you did it in an open way And I would want you to explain the processes done in verification and how you managed it as the chairman of the IEBC.
Yes, first we gazetted the results path. Secondly...
So what was the result path?
The result path is, as per the Gazette notice laid out in paragraph 37, which runs up to paragraph, yes, the entire paragraph 37.
Yes.
Would you like me to go through it?
Just very briefly, so
Yes.
that we flow together.
So election takes place at the constituencies and at the polling stations. For purpose of presidential election, the voting and counting is done at the constituency. I mean at the polling station, and then we have Form 34A filled by the presiding officer and signed by the presiding officer and the agents. And once that is done, the form is scanned and transmitted to the National Tallying Center and the Constituency Tallying Center. And we had a copy of the same going to the public portal. So that is the genesis of the election.
Before you move, in the affidavit of the first affidavit, you talked about technology and the basis why it had to go to the public portal. Kindly explain.
Yes, so for purposes of the election, we then set up a public portal to ensure that all the results are deposited in the public portal, and anybody who wishes to interact with the results, not just Kenyans but the whole world, would have an opportunity to interact with the results.
Did that portal have a password, or are you saying every citizen of this great republic and any person anywhere in the world could access it?
Yes, we did not have a password for the portal. Just log in IEBC and you get into the portal. What we ensured is that we have sufficient firewalls so that those who intended to penetrate or crash it would not be able to. And I believe many people interacted with the portal. From the records we have, we had 386 million people worldwide interacting in the portal, and about, I think, mostly from Kenya, there were about 300, but the 80 million were from the rest of the world.
Right, so you're saying 386 million?
Yes, interacted.
In a country of 50 million interacted with the portal?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let's go back to paragraph 42. Let's go to, you are explaining now the verification, how it was done.
Yes, so the verification was done in line with the results path, and at the Bomas of Kenya, then we set up in the auditorium various desks which were to carry out the verification. And this then was done in an open and transparent manner.
As it was done, do you know when it started?
We got, I think, we set up the desks way before the election date, and the first results came in, I think, from the 10th of August.
10th of August?
Yeah, 10th of August, yes.
It involved who in particular? Only IEBC officials or commissioners?
The desks had IEBC officials with agents. Each desk has an IEBC official who would deal with the data. We had the agents of the 4 presidential candidates, and we had also, then there's a chair for the returning officer when he comes. He or she comes from the constituency to present the results. So that was the composition of the desks at the auditorium.
So in the process, once you verify, what would happen?
Good luck.
Which you've explained.
Yes. First, what were we verifying?
Yes.
We had the results in the portal, in the scanned form 34A. Then we had constituency. The constituency returning officer collects all the results from 34As from all the polling stations, fills from 34B, and then brings it to the National Tallying Center. So at the National Tallying Center, the team was looking at what was in the portal versus the original Form 34S brought in by the returning officer as against the 34B. And if there are any errors, mostly errors were around the populating of 34B, then the error forms were filled, and the result forms then were not, none could be changed to just fill the error forms. And those error forms were all then submitted to the commission. So the team was verifying all these results, and once the verification was done and everybody's happy, then the results are posted. The Form 34As are populated into Form 34C by another team that was sitting on the auditorium, the ICT team. So then Form 34C would be automatically be generated. Yes.
Thank you. Now, when you say it's automatically generated, I need you to explain what you mean and whether it was then in a place where the public would view.
Yes, all the desks were in the open. In this auditorium, we had observers, we had members of the public who were accredited to be present, and it was in an open place. Even the ICT team was seated in the auditorium on their own desk.
Now,
so it's an open process.
Were the commissioners kept in the dark? Were they aware or involved in any way?
All,
and if so, how?
Yes. I say all the 6 commissioners were with me in the auditorium right from the beginning, and they were all over the auditorium assisting in the exercise of tallying and verification.
Okay. And as the verification was happening, we could see announcements being made by commissioners. Kindly explain how that was happening.
Yes. The constituency returning officer, after going through the process and the verification, which was very, very thorough, by the way. I remember in the beginning it took a lot of time because of the scrutiny of those 34As and 34Bs.
Mr. Chairman, you know, when you say it was very thorough, Queen's English, probably now King's English, it's good to explain when you say it was very thorough. What do you mean?
Because all the agents had a chance to look at all the forms, and if there was any issue, then it will be brought to our attention as a commission and is resolved before that result is announced. And in fact, at the end of the day, then after everything is clear, then the commissioners would go and announce the result. I announced the first result. I think that was will be East, and then the rest were done by the commissioners.
So you are saying it was thorough?
Yes.
Involved everyone?
Yes.
The commissioners also?
Yes, everybody was involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Was there any point where, and I mean particular, Commissioner Irene Masid came and said, this, what you have verified as the results, looking at the portal or what was scanned at the polling station, is a problem or is not correct?
I'm not aware of any such issue being raised by Commissioner Masid about the results being or not being correct.
Not being correct.
Yeah.
And this announcement, you're saying you did the first one. Who did the other announcements? And how many announcements were there, if you have the numbers or you know have how many were remaining? Who were doing them?
We have 291 returning officers for the 2022 general elections, presidential elections, and all the rest of the announcements or for the results was done by the commissioners. I don't have figures as to who announced how many, but the rest of the commissioners did the announcement.
We will get to the point where Commissioner Irene Masid appears to have an issue, but did she make announcements herself?
Yes, she did. She announced quite a number of constituency results for presidential election.
And during her announcement, did she raise any issue? You are asking me to announce this. I have a problem. Was there any issue raised?
Not from Commissioner Masid. Maybe the other commissioner, one had an issue with the depilation of results. And we resolved it, and he went back and announced the correct result. I think that was Commissioner Nyang'aya.
In one area?
In one area.
One out of
constituency.
291?
Yes.
But nothing from Irene?
Nothing from Commissioner Marsabit.
Right. We move to paragraph 47, 46, flowing 46. You've said you did the first one, and you've talked about the objectives.
Yes.
Now, we then move to 47, all the way to 52. You said there was a slow progress, right? And you talk about changes done. And I need you to explain, was it a single, you solely making changes or proposals? Was it a commission, or how did you resolve this?
Yes, we had a workflow plan which had been put in place, and after the first 3 days, we realized we had only done about 35 to 40 constituencies. Then we realized, given the constitutional timelines, which require that we complete the exercise within 7 days, we realized we would not be able to finish this exercise at that slow pace. So we called for a commission meeting, an informal meeting. We had many meetings, by the way, on every issue that arose, and we agreed that we change the format of doing things so that we increase the number of verification desks to 14 from 7, 14 or 15. And then also we changed the format so that we could fast track the process. We had returning officers from the constituents just sitting there for 2-3 days, and we had not been able to filter them. So we had to change the format, and it worked.
And this, you say we held a meeting. What do you mean by we held a meeting?
I and the commissioners had a meeting with the CEO, and we decided to change the format. And we also invited the agents of the candidates to brief them on the changes.
Was there any challenge or dispute from the agents?
Nobody, everybody agreed with the format, and we proceeded with the exercise.
Was there any issue raised by Commissioner Irene Marsabit?
None whatsoever.
Was she part of the solution?
Yes, she was.
Right. Now, through the evidence, we'll hear about some committees or commissioners you had given appointed to do specific tasks.
Yes.
Was that correct?
Yes.
Were there any who were supposed to oversee this issue of verification and the like?
Yes, for purposes of the verification, all commissioners participated in the exercise of verification and tallying, but as part of governance, you cannot just have everybody doing everything. Bombers was a huge operation. And so it put in place a mechanism where commissioners would oversee certain functions. And this then was in preparation for the tallying and the period of tallying itself. So I set up committees as part of corporate governance for each management of the center. And for purposes of the coordinating activities in the National Tallying Center, Professor Gulier and Hussein Marijan and a team of staff were in charge of that operation.
And was there a role for Commissioner Irene Marsabit?
Yes, Commissioner Marsabit and Commissioner Wanderi were put in charge of security and welfare. What do I mean by security? As a commission, of course, we have to work with the National Police Service and other operations where we have security not just for the center, but this was security for the whole country, where we deployed over 100,000 police officers to man the elections. And all the complaints were ending up at the commission. And so this was security and welfare of staff. Then we had also Commissioner Molu and Vice Chairperson Juliana in charge of a media center and the call center. So those were the major areas of operation.
And as you set up these committees and put together your commissioners and staff to assist, were there any problems or any challenges, especially from Commissioner Irene Marsabit?
There were no challenges from the rest except Commissioner Masit came and told me she can't work with Commissioner Wanderi. She wants to be her own team. So I split the security and welfare and gave her the welfare part, and Commissioner Wanderi handled the security.
That split is where I was getting to know whether it was out of the blue or it was a request.
It was a request. And Commissioner Wanderi also came and said, I can't work with Commissioner Masit.
Okay.
And so I said, okay, fine. So we...
All right. We will not go to the reasons,
yes,
but you just split because you wanted your commission to work.
I just wanted a smooth operation.
And
yes.
As they worked pre-15th August, did any of them raise any issues?
Not as it relates to the operation of bombers. If they had any issue, then it was not brought to my attention.
Any issue, it was then brought to your attention?
Yes.
We are aware there were some announcements that were pending, several, I think 20-something, before issues arose. You remember?
Yes, there were 27 constituency results which had been verified on the night or the morning, the night of 15th or the morning of 15th, but they had not been announced.
Now, before the announcement, were those the last ones?
Yes, those were the last ones.
Those are the last ones?
Yes.
So you had done a good percentage in terms of verification?
Yes, out of 291, those 27 were the last ones.
Out of 291, 27 were remaining?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get the percentage shortly, which is just above 10%, or thereabout.
Yes.
Now, on all the others, save for this 27, did anyone raise, especially the Commissioner Masit, raise any issue?
There was no issue raised by Commissioner Masit on any of the results that were announced.
In terms of the forms, the way the forms were filled, the validity of the forms, especially 34C, was there any challenge, any issues raised by Commissioner Irene Masit?
None whatsoever.
All right. Now, we go to where issues started, and we go to paragraph 58, which also appears in the petition by Reverend Pumbi, and also for Langat, paragraph 58. Is, at 55, you mentioned about attempts to subvert the will of the people as an introduction.
Yes.
You're there? And I would be happy to know why you headed it that way. Attempts to subvert the will of the people. And you are a very, very senior lawyer, senior to both myself and Donald, and here. And probably as a lawyer, it would be fair to ask, when you talk about subverting the will of the people, vis-a-vis what the Constitution expects of you. Kindly explain.
The Constitution of Kenya is very, very clear on what our system of elections through, democracy. And we, as a commission, were put in place to ensure that Kenyans then express their will, which is through the ballot, and that we then announce the winners of those particular elections. This then brings me to Article 81 of the Constitution, which is very clear. It requires that we remain independent and that the election conducted is transparent. We conduct it in a transparent, impartial, neutral, and efficient manner, which is also accountable. So as a commission, we are referees, and as a referee, then you expect that you do your work fairly to everyone. And so these activities, which were listed here, were then attempts to divert the commission from what the Constitution expects of us.
Were they then attempts to breach or violate the Constitution?
Yes, definitely, because the Constitution expects of the Commission to be independent, treat all candidates fairly, be independent and transparent, and all those things that are listed in Article 81E. Now, anything short of that, then it negates what is expected. And we also have Article 249, which is also clear that we ought to do our work without, in accordance with the Constitution and without interference from anyone. And also our oath of office is very, very clear. It reiterates all those things.
Right.
Yeah, so then whatever activities listed here are then diversions that would have made us be party to subverting the will of the people.
You've talked about your oath of office.
Yes.
And before we go to the circumstance, what exactly happened? What is expected of your oath of office as commissioners of IEBC?
First, we swear to uphold the Constitution and the laws, the relevant laws. And of course, it reiterates, it's in sync with Article 249, which says we only obey the Constitution and the law and not any individual authority. And that is then expounded by Article 81E as to then carries the issue of impartiality and independence.
What
that a commission then, a chair and commission is expected to be impartial and independent, and the commission in general.
Then if
yes.
That's the oath of office, what then if you commissioners of commissioners then support attempts to subvert the will of the people?
Then we would have simply acted against the Constitution, and he should be held to account if one goes outside his oath of office.
It's gone outside oath of office.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I will jump at paragraph 57 because the people mentioned there are not here. I'll go to paragraph 58. Now, there was an incident at 3 a.m. on the 15th of August when you visited by some people mentioned there.
Yes.
3 a.m., had you slept or were you working through the day and through the night?
We were working 24/7. For the 5 days, I never went home to sleep.
You never went home?
Yes, I went home only to refresh and change and come back.
Okay.
Yeah, but we were working day and night, and most of the commissioners were also there. Maybe one or two to go rest and come, and so like we just had to work.
Now, you say that somebody contacted you that you had these guests.
Yes.
Kindly explain who contacted you, and you talk about several attempts. Kindly explain. Paragraph 58.
Yes, the auditorium and the holding room are adjoined, and we are also operating from the holding room, working from there. And then I got messages from members of staff, from my security detail, that this gentleman and commissioners, that this gentleman wanted to see me. And this was around that time. So then they came in. Actually, I didn't say yes, they should come in, but they came in just like that, uninvited. They just walked in.
And where you were in the boardroom, the office?
I was in the holding room.
Okay.
I had actually told my CEO I'll take a nap for 1 hour and wake me up around that time, but I was woken up by this gentleman instead.
So you are sleeping and some
yes,
gentlemen wake you up?
On my chair, yes.
Now, because one of the gentlemen will come in later with a meeting with you somewhere out of the NTC, that first person, who was he?
That is Honorable Rafael Tuju. He was at that point in time a cabinet secretary in the previous government, and he just he came there on behalf of the Azimio party.
And did Azimio have a presidential candidate?
Yes, it had a presidential candidate and also a chief agent.
They had a chief
who we
agent?
had agreed that any issues which involves candidates should be raised by chief agents.
All right, so
Yes.
this is somebody from the Azimio camp. There was a senator also.
Yes, Senator Amos Wako, former Attorney General, was also in the group,
All right.
among the three people.
Okay, let me not mention my colleague. Now, these people, you are saying...
Excuse me. You can't choose whom to mention, whom not to mention. So if you're
Okay, very
mentioning-
well. So choose the third person.
It's not me.
Very well. The third person.
The third person is Advocate Kialo Mbobu,
Yes.
who introduced himself as such. Yes,
Introduce himself as an advocate.
yes.
Right. Now, you then say that the attempt was to discuss tallying and results.
Yes.
How did you know that this is what they wanted to discuss?
They introduced the purpose of the visit, that they wanted to discuss about the tallying and ongoing process. And I then told them if that's the case, then I'll ask the commissioners to join us in the meeting because it's a matter then that would involve the whole commission.
Why didn't you discuss with them? They found you, they've come to see you.
The election operation is not the chairperson's operation alone. It's the commission then that would make any decision as to matters that led to the entire election. So in all these matters that affect elections, I've always taken the liberty as chair to invite commissioners if there are issues to discuss. And this is what I adopted throughout the Boma's time and even before.
There must be a bigger reason why you didn't want to meet them alone.
3 a.m. in the morning and 3 gentlemen to discuss elections. I think that was reason enough.
That was reason enough.
Yes.
Right. And you then say that the commissioners joined you in paragraph 59, and you talked because you're not operating a vacuum. I need you to say at what time did these others join you and where did they join you?
The commissioners were on the floor of the auditorium doing what they were doing, participating in the tallying and verification, and it just took a minute or two for them to come and join us.
So they joined you in the holding place?
Yes, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Was Commissioner Irene Masit one of them?
Yes.
So she was present?
Yes, she was present.
She was present in this meeting?
Yes, I'm sure.
Now, you then go on to explain in paragraph 59 and 56, and of concern is where you talk about moderation in paragraph 60. I
Yes.
need you to explain what was this request and what did they mean by saying moderation?
In 59, the first to speak was Senator Amos Wako, who said that as former Attorney General, remember elections were at some point managed in the Attorney General's office, and Attorney General's office was very, very powerful as regards the election. He said we should not operate in a vacuum. We should look at the bigger picture for the country, and as a former election supervisor, then when you reach this kind of situation, you can moderate results and achieve stability of the country. Then we had also Honorable Tuchu spoke. He said that it was necessary that we moderate these results in favor of Baba, and that any contrary declaration of results would plunge the country into chaos.
Okay, so because these proceedings are recorded, when you say in favor of Baba, what do you mean?
I understood Baba to mean the Asmio presidential candidate, because that's what they call him.
Who was who?
Raila Odinga.
Raila Odinga.
Yes.
So the moderation was to be in favor of Raila Odinga.
Yes.
And you then flow to the issue of runoff in paragraph 60. Kindly explain.
You said that in the alternative, if it was not possible to moderate the results in that manner, then we should ensure that there is a runoff.
How?
He didn't say how. I also don't know how that would be done.
Okay, what about moderation? Did you know how it was to be done?
I had no idea how it would, because the elections reflect the will of the people, and as I said, from 34A is announced at the polling station and transmitted to the portal. So any form of moderation would not be possible.
So without sounding political, what you're saying is coming from bottom up, or from the polling station up to the National Tallying Center.
Yes, I believe if this gentleman knew the transparent system we had put in place, perhaps they would not have made this visit. Because at the end of the day, the results were already out there in the portal. So, and any attempt to change them would result into a lot of other problems.
Well, you've just said, if these guys had known what we had set up, what do you mean?
I'm saying they were talking as if the thing of the old days when we didn't have transmission of results into the portal, where elections then were not that transparent. But the systems we had put in place were such that these suggestions they were making would not be possible.
Did the constitution of this great republic envisage or permit a situation where you could moderate results in a presidential elections?
Absolutely.
Or change to permit a runoff?
Absolutely not. Not the 2010 constitution, and not even the previous constitution, if I remember.
Right. Now,
yes.
As at 3 a.m. this time, had you gotten the final results after the verification of all?
We had not got the final result, but most of the verification and tallying had been done. But we had not got the final result.
So did you, as Wafula Chebukati, the chairman, know for a fact who was the winner as at this time?
I had not got the final figures, but we, of course, had the constituency results, but I did not know at this point in time who was the winner.
Right. Then, if we flow to paragraph 61, you say the advocate never made comments?
Yes, he did not say anything.
Did not say anything?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I've left out the point of being rewarded reasonably, but I'd rather go there. Let me read this statement, sir. After the talk of moderation, this is what you say. For this, he indicated that should his request be granted, it would be adequately rewarded. Who was this? And what was the reward?
This, the person who spoke these words was Raphael Tuju, and that's what he said. That we consider the request, then we shall be rewarded.
You shall be rewarded?
Yes.
Did he expound the reward?
Oh, we did not encourage him to expound the reward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Now, let me flow on the reward and we'll come back to paragraph 62. The last part, the third last line, and I want to read for you. You say you did not want him to expound, but this is what you say. As regard the incentive, and the emphasis is the word incentive, I was categorical that I'm adequately remunerated. And here the word emphasis is remunerated. and do not want anything from anyone. Do
Yes.
not want anything from anyone. Professor Gulie, Commissioner Molu, supported this view. The team left. Now, was Commissioner Irene Masit part of this meeting?
Yes, she was.
How come you did not mention her as supporting you? Or was she part of the incentive? And why did you use the word incentive and remuneration, sir?
Yeah, prior to that, just to put it in context, I invited the commissioners one by one to speak on the statements from those two gentlemen who had spoken, and I spoke last. And when I was responding to it is when I said these things about remuneration, which Commissioner Molo and Professor supported the view. So the others had already spoken. The other commissioners
Mr. Chairman,
had already spoken.
Sorry to cut you. You know, reward could be by way of prayers for you and your family, could be by way of others. There must be a reason why you use the word remunerated.
Because those were the sentiments.
Those were the sentiments.
Yeah, that's what was expressed.
Monetary.
Yes.
Monetary.
Yeah.
Right, go on.
Yeah.
Let's go on then.
So what I'm saying is all the commissioners had a chance to speak. As usual, I normally allow them to express their views in any meeting, and this was one of those meetings. So basically, the commissioner must sit alongside the other three, said that we should consider these statements from the two gentlemen very seriously.
Should consider
Yes.
the reward seriously.
Not the reward, the
Yes.
statements.
We are talking about the reward here.
About the reward, they did not say anything. The Commissioner Masit did not say anything about the reward.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was more about the request.
All right.
Yes.
But you see, you adopted this statement, this affidavit. This is an affidavit under oath.
Yes.
You are a very senior lawyer. You know the meaning of an affidavit under oath.
Yes.
You said you mentioned only two to have supported you. So the inference is the other way.
I think we need to read the whole paragraph in context. The support here from Commissioner Molo and Professor was more on the substantive issue which was raised as to whether we should moderate the results or not.
Right.
Not on the issue of reward.
So you
Yes.
had people who wanted to bribe technically the commissioners to subvert the will
Yes.
of the people.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
That is exactly what they left no doubt that was.
And you are aware,
Yes.
is that an offense under our penal code?
Not just Penal Code, even Election Offences Act.
Even Election Offences Act.
Yes.
And this, right, let me not go beyond. Let's go back to moderation. In respect to moderation and forcing a runoff, you then talked about giving the other people to have a chance to speak in paragraph 62.
Yes.
What was the position of Commissioner Irene Masit, very specific on those two?
Yes, Commissioner Irene Masit with...
Just hold on, just hold on.
Yes.
Okay, we proceed.
Yes.
Yes. Right. In fact, I wanted after probably another 10, 15 minutes, we take a health break. Very well. Then we'll take a health break. Very well. Thank you very much, sir. Now, Mr. Chebukati, you know, Some of us are over 50, myself and Donald here, so I think it will come shortly, the break. Now, moderation and the forcing of runoff.
Yes.
And I'm very particular on the position of Commissioner, because you say they all commented. You are in that meeting, right?
Yes.
You were in that meeting.
I chaired the meeting.
You had chaired the meeting.
Yeah.
Were the guests present?
Yes, they were.
The guests were present.
Yes.
And you then asked your commissioners to comment on what these guests have asked.
Yes.
And I'm trying to understand why this was done in the presence of the guests. Can you explain?
The guests had come with a request.
Yes.
And as a team, then they needed to be responded to. So I asked each commissioner then to make their comments on those requests.
Looking at them in the eye, what was the response of Commissioner Marsabit?
Okay, the way we are here, we of course, when you talk, I look at you. And Commissioner Marsabit agreed with the remarks of Senator Wako and Honorable Tuju.
So what was the remark of Senator Wako?
That we should moderate results.
Now, as a chair and as a very senior lawyer, did the Constitution of this great republic allow that?
Absolutely not.
What's your position then on that request?
I said that the will of the people must be respected, and we must live to the oath of our office. To me, that then were things that you don't expect, and that's why I said these then were attempts to subvert the will of the people.
So you are saying a commissioner wanted to subvert? That's what you're saying?
That's it. That's exactly what it is.
Right.
Yes.
In the other issue, what was the other request?
Force a runoff.
By who?
If we, then, if the presidential candidate for Asmia doesn't win, then a runoff should be forced. That was Honorable Raphael Tuju.
What was the position of, I'm very specific, Commissioner Irene Marsabit on that request?
She said we should consider the remarks of both Senator Wako and the Honorable Raphael Tuju.
What do you mean, expound as a lawyer?
Consider means think of agreeing, think of a way of assisting.
Get of a way of assisting.
Yes, something like that.
Now, did the Constitution allow that?
Absolutely not.
So one of your commissioners was doing what?
Sorry?
So what you're saying, one of your commissioners was what? Was permitting, or agreeing with an attempt to subvert or violate the Constitution on that runoff issue?
That's what it appeared to be.
All right. Now, then, at what point did you leave? Okay. Did the guests leave? People have made their comments.
Then we finished the meeting. We told them we shall do what the law requires us to do. That's what I told them. And then they left shortly after.
So the incentive never got to anyone?
No.
Did you know where the incentive was coming from?
Where?
The incentive was coming from.
It's Tuju who mentioned it, so I don't know where it was coming from, and I didn't care to know where it would be coming from.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
Now, we go to the next part, which starts with paragraph 63. You there, sir?
Yes, I'm there.
So these visitors left, their first group of visitors left around what time? Do you remember?
Maybe around 3:30 or thereabouts. The meeting was about half an hour or 45 minutes or something like that.
3:30 or thereabouts?
Yeah, so I think that we took about 45 minutes for that meeting.
For that 45 minutes. Now, you've been woken up 45 minutes. After they left, was there a discussion as commissioners? Because you are in a position, you say two supported you not to violate the constitution. The other took a different position. Visitors have gone. Did you have a meeting?
I think after they left, we all got back to our work stations. I had also been woken up, so I continued working. So we did not have further discussion on the matter, and I didn't then give it much thought, really, after they left.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you then, you are aware of the implication of putting these facts in an affidavit?
Yes, I was.
And you stick to these facts?
Yes, because that's the truth. That's what happened.
You stick to this fact that people wanted to you moderate? Yes. All right. Now, we go to paragraph 63. There's a new team of visitors. I need you to explain how did you know about this visit, and just introduction on paragraph 63.
This was on the morning of 15th. I received a call around 9 a.m. from the head of public service then, Mr. Joseph Kinyua, that a team from National Security Advisory Committee will be coming to see me and requesting me to see them. And he said they will be talking briefly about assumption of office. Later on,
the purpose of the meeting from the call was assumption of office.
Yeah, that's what Mr. Kinyua said.
Did you have any problem discussing assumption of office?
Absolutely not. I mean, I didn't know how I come in, but they wanted to discuss it, and I said, it's okay.
Right. Now, let's talk about whether there was an issue of assumption of office discussed. Then flow to paragraph 65 and the visit at paragraph 66.
Yes, so because of other duties we were undertaking, we said they need to wait. We managed to see them at 2 p.m. I and the commissioners met them at 2 p.m.
Where was the meeting?
The meeting took place at the CEO's office boardroom at the Bomas of Kenya. The CEO of Bomas of Kenya's boardroom.
Now, this meeting, was it attended by all commissioners? And to be specific, was Commissioner Irene Masit present?
Yes, Commissioner Irene Masit was present together with all the 5 others in this meeting.
In this meeting?
Yes.
Now, from my reading of paragraph 65 flowing to 66, it appears as though there was already an arranged, pre-planned meeting apart from the one of these visitors.
Yes, I had informed the commissioners that we should have a meeting at 2 to be briefed, or rather to look at the final results before declaration. And so we were meeting specifically to look at the results as stipulated in Form 34C, which we had asked the CEO to print and bring to the boardroom. So this was our meeting.
In this meeting, prior to this meeting, had any of the commissioners seen Form 34C?
That Form 34C had not been printed, and none of us had seen it.
Had not been printed,
yes.
None of you had seen it?
Yes.
Had any of you known the final results as prior to this meeting?
The final tally had not been known, disclosed to us, but all the constituency results were out there.
So all constituency results were out there?
Yes.
You mean
we had finished tallying and verification, and The commissioners had been announcing them, and all the results were there.
When you say they are out there, because these
Out in
proceedings
the-
are recorded, I need clarity. What you mean when you say they are out there?
We mentioned the scenario of the auditorium where the tallying and verification was ongoing, and populating of Form C was happening. And so the results were there. After verification, all the constituency results were available.
In the portal or where?
Now with the commissioners, with the team, with the IEBC team.
With the IEBC team.
Yes.
Now, prior to this meeting, was there any problem amongst the commissioners?
No,
No.
not that I'm aware of.
Any disagreements? Not at all.
No.
Right. So you meet at 2 o'clock, and you are clear in paragraph 66, you wanted to declare a declaration, right? Then you, flowing to paragraph 67, you say then you decided to meet the commissioners. Kindly explain.
We decided to meet as a commission before declaration so that we can look at the final result, which we were going to declare. But before that, we then said, since we have visitors, let's attend to them first.
Right.
Yes.
Are the visitors the one mentioned in paragraph 67?
Yes.
And you said they were coming on behalf of?
The National Security Advisory Committee.
Now, you then talk about introduction, composition, deliberate selection, and the magnitude of the message. Kindly explain.
Yes, so the team leader, Mr. Kennedy Kihara, introduced the team of the four, introduced himself, and the participants, Mr. Kenneth Ogeto, Solicitor General, Mr. Hilary Mtiambai, Inspector General of Police, and Lieutenant General Francis Omondo Gola, the Vice Chief of the Defense Forces. That was the team. Yes. And he said this team has been carefully selected to come for this meeting. And he proceeded then to, after the introductions from all of us, he proceeded to deliver a message. He said they had a message for us.
Message from who?
From the NSAC, the National Security Advisory Committee.
Paragraph 69, flowing to 70, you talk about the message. Kindly explain.
Yes, the message was that if I declared the final election results in favor of Honorable William Samoei Ruto as president-elect, the country is going to burn. And he proceeded to tell us that the already skirmishes had started in the country. Kikuyus and Luos were already fighting. And he cited several slums, including Kibera and Mathare, on the basis of what he termed betrayal by the Kikuyus. That was his
Betrayal by the Kikuyus.
That was his message, yes.
Right. Paragraph 70, he went on to caution.
He went on to caution that if we proceeded with the declaration of Honorable Ruto as president-elect and chaos erupt, then the blood of Kenyans, the blood of the dead Kenyans will be on our hands. And he said all of us, 7 of us, the commissioners and myself, will be held responsible.
Now, how did you take that message to mean to you and the commissioners?
Well, this then was obviously, this is a National Security Advisory team, the top organ of government. And a message of that nature then was outrightly a threat to the independence of the commission.
It's a threat to the independence of the commission?
Yes.
Yes.
That's how I took it. And
as at the time they
yes.
were speaking, had the final results verified been with you people?
We had not received the final Form 34C from the CEO. We were waiting for it. But as I said, these results were already out there. Remember, we had a public portal where everybody interacted with, and people did their own tallying.
So people could have done their tallying and known who is the winner?
Yes.
But you?
The official result from that 4C was not with us yet.
But as at that time, they are already telling you should not declare specific person?
Yes, yes.
All right. Now, we flow to paragraph...
So that we... so that we don't spend too much time on this. You see, you've verified the results.
Yes.
And you're doing that as per the constituencies.
Yes.
And that you had verified all the results of the constituencies.
Yes, by the morning of 15th.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and it was being done by commissioners, by your staff,
yes,
in the presence of agents,
yes,
and all those who wanted to.
Yes.
So the results were known.
Absolutely.
To that extent.
Yeah. At least the constituency results were all
results.
out. Yes.
And all that you needed to do was arithmetical.
There were two things that Form C, that 4C brings out. Other than the final results, it also, the system computes the number of counties a candidate has garnered, because that's important.
Yes.
And also the percentage. So that then is auto-generated by the system.
Yes.
So those then completes the Form 34C. Yeah, so that to declare a winner, you must know how many counties they have been garnered, because one needs 24 counties on the minimum to win a presidential election, and also the percentage.
No, what I'm asking is, a careful agent, okay? People who are interested in these results, and I'm sure all of those who are in the room were interested, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It was a matter of calculation.
Yes, with your calculator, you could have known the results even after 48 hours, or the second or third day.
So fine, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Then you flow to paragraph 71, then you talk of a request that was made appears similar by the earlier visitors. Can you explain?
The paragraph 71,
yes.
The second part of the message from the NSAC delegation was that if we cannot announce Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga as the outright winner, then we must ensure there is a runoff.
Now, was there any explanation how you would ensure there is a runoff?
None was given, and up to now, I wouldn't know if that can possibly be done. As I said, results were out there. So anybody attempting to manipulate them, it will not work.
Okay. Then you say they wanted something from you, 72.
Yes, he said now that he has delivered the message, he wants a message to take back, or a response from the commission.
Right.
And so what I did is I asked the commissioners one by one, what they think about that message.
Now, was there, I need to be very specific, Commissioner Irene Masit, what was, and first of all, was this done in the presence of the visitors?
Yes.
So your commissioners gave their comments looking
presence,
at the visitors in the eye?
Yes.
And what was the position of Commissioner Irene Masit?
Yes, so the Commissioner Masit, alongside the others, said this message requires serious consideration, and she supported the adoption of the communication from NSAC to be considered before taking a decision on the results to be announced.
Right. Consider before doing what? Before
taking a decision on the result, as to the results to be announced.
So what does that mean?
I believe there's a preemptive action. If the results come in and they are going the way which is not anticipated by this team, then we should consider them and look for a way of doing what the request was.
So, did the law or the constitution of this great republic allow what your fellow commissioner was supporting?
In fact, it's quite to the contrary.
What do you mean?
The constitution was set up to ensure that this kind of things don't happen. Remember, the commission is independent and it's about the will of the people. That's what we exist to protect.
Without going to legal maxims that we don't like, is that the commissioner wanted subversion of the will?
Well, from the expression of what they said and saying we should consider NSAC message, that is exactly subversion of the will of the people.
Subversion of the will of the people?
Yes.
Did you, then what happened?
The NSAC team left, and the CEO then, Mr. Marijan, brought in the Form 34C.
Oh, very well.
Yes.
We can stop there.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. We take 15-20 minutes break, then we resume.
Thank you very much.
Na mtazamaji, ni picha za moja kwa moja kutoka katika taasisi ya KICD ambapo mwenyekiti wa tume ya uchaguzi na mipaka, aliyekuwa mwenyekiti wa tume ya uchaguzi na mipaka ya IEBC Wafula Chebukati amefika kupigwa msasa kuhusiana na matukio yaliyotokea katika uchaguzi wa Agosti tarehe 9. Ni taarifa ambayo tunazidi kufuatilia katika chumba cha habari. Mtazamaji, kwa sasa wamechukua mapumziko mafupi, lakini watakuwa narejea mwendo baadaye, lakini hapa studioni tutakuwa pia vile tunachukua mapumziko mafupi. Lakini tukirejea tunakuja na mjadala kuhusiana na kile ambacho kinara wa ODM Raila Odinga alikuwa anazungumzia hiyo jana katika mkutano wa Kamukunji, na ambapo alikuwa anadai kwamba Rais William Ruto, wao kama muungano wa Azimio, hawamtambui Rais William Ruto kama rais wa taifa la Kenya, pamoja na matakwa mengineyo ambayo walikuwa wametoa, na pia vile wakidai kwamba uchaguzi wa Agosti tarehe 9 haukufanywa jinsi ilivyotakiwa, na hivyo basi hawamtambui Rais William Ruto kama rais. Kwa sasa mtazamaji, wacha tuchukue mapumziko mafupi, lakini tukirejea tunakuja hapa studioni na mjadala. Studioni tayari mgeni amefika ambaye anafahamika kama Advice Mundalo, mchanganuzi wa masuala ya siasa na mchanganuzi wa sera. Kwa hiyo mtazamaji, usiende mbali, tutakuwa tunarudi na mjadala zaidi.
2009, All Saints has strived to nurture confident, responsible and ambitious young men into future leaders. Located on 20 acres in a serene and conducive environment, some 4 kilometers from Embu town center, it's a modest, cost-friendly education center. We are proud of our strong heritage of opening minds, unlocking talents, and building leaders. We prepare young men for a life dedicated to leadership, achievement, and service to the world. All Saints Senior Boys Academy. We make the difference.
The Premier League's back? Yeah.
Yeah, like you see, these are the fabrics we use for the sofas. Yeah, there are different types of fabrics. Sabak.
This is the best way to go. Eat color, eat raw, you know, like this is alive.
Well, 2022 is behind us. 2023 is here with us. What are your plans? We here at TV47's Morning Cafe have great plans for you. We're talking about information, we're talking about entertainment, we're talking about the greatness for the year. So make sure that you're always with us every morning.
muonekano wao hauwezi ukajua waliopitia. Kwa sura zao zinapong'aa hauwezi ukafahamu changamoto zao. Nyuma yao ipo story na historia. Katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi tunakupa nafasi kuweza kuwafahamu kila siku ya Alhamisi kuanzia saa 1:30 kuendelea. Nami Elizabeth Mchuku.
Your health matters, and Body Garage is here to guide you on it.
Someone's, after using the medication, the virus number of the HIV in someone's body will start to go.
My medication, wherever I go, I must make sure I'm committed to my medication. Yes. And I should watch what I'm eating. I should not just eat from everywhere or not just eat anything.
We talk mental, physical, and spiritual health. Join us every Thursday at 8 p.m. Lover of farming? Well, Kilimo Diaries is your home for different farming ventures, crops, animals, and so much more. Every Sunday,